The other week, I packed up my Sony a6700, the Sigma 17-40mm f1.8, a PVS-14 night vision monocular, and a 3D printed adapter I designed and printed myself, and drove out to Sky Meadows State Park to shoot a meteor shower through night vision. It was a really cool experience, and I wanted to share some of the photos and footage that came out of the trip with you guys, along with everything that I learned about actually using a camera through an image intensification tube in the field, including a few things that went wrong. I will say up front that this is not going to be a video about night vision in and of itself. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you have a basic understanding of what night vision is and how it works. I will also let you guys know that I purchased all the gear I mentioned in this video with my own money, including the PVS-14 night vision monocular I used on this trip. If you value honest, technically literate reviews, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. My night vision photography setup has gone through a few iterations over the past few years, since I first picked up my PVS-14 as a grad school graduation present for myself. I started out using my Pixel 7 with a 3D printed bracket to mount it behind the PVS-14's eyepiece, which actually worked surprisingly well. Eventually, I asked for an 82mm metal adapter from Cold Harbor Supplies, a Christmas present from my mother-in-law, hoping to use it across all of my lenses since I step everything up to 82mm anyway. In practice, I ran into two real problems with this setup. First, the step-up ring and the adapter ring could get stuck to each other, which is exactly as annoying as it sounds. Second, the standoff distance introduced additional vignetting. I ended up designing and 3D printing a direct adapter specifically for my Sigma 17-40mm f1.8, which solved both of those problems. I do want to quickly say that in general, the smaller the front element of your lens, the better photos you will get through a night vision tube, which is something to be aware of if you're planning on getting into this kind of photography. If you're curious, there's a written guide about shooting photos through night vision by a photographer named Ted Colgrove that I'll link in the description below, which I found to be a really good starting point and highly recommend checking out. Let's talk about the kit that I brought with me on this trip. I packed the a6700 with the PVS-14 and the direct adapter as the main rig, the Viltrox 27mm f1.2 for standard astrophotography, the Sony a6400, which I essentially brought just to be able to take pictures of my main rig for documentation purposes, and the Oppo Find X9 Ultra in its Chronos case. I also brought my main Leofoto carbon fiber tripod with a Sunway Photo ball head, as well as my Ulanzi mini tripod and the Chronos Arc adapter for the Find X9 Ultra. Finally, I brought the Zoom F3 32-bit float audio recorder and the Comica VM20 shotgun microphone for field recordings. My camping companion and I had a bit of a frustrating drive to the park during which Google Maps kept trying to divert us onto the tolled express lanes, which unfortunately resulted in us getting sidetracked. Once we arrived at the park, we had to drag our camping gear over a mile uphill through rough terrain to get to the campsite, which was not a pleasant experience. Once we finally made it to the campsite, we pitched the tent as darkness fell. Cloud cover was working against me for a good chunk of the night. I woke myself up after midnight hoping to catch the meteor shower, but initially couldn't get anything usable. I ended up waiting an hour or two for the clouds to clear, and once they did, I got both still photos and a few video clips that actually caught meteors through the night vision tube. I started the night shooting at f5.6 and switched to f4 towards the end of the night. The vignetting difference between the two f-stops is not significant, and the extra stop of light made a real difference in keeping ISO down, especially for video. It's worth flagging that I'm shooting on an APS-C sensor. If you've read the low-light photography guide I referenced earlier, the author recommends f5.6, but he's shooting on full frame, so you'll need to convert accordingly. For video, I ended up pushing ISO as high as 8,000 in frames the sky wasn't lighting for me, which is generally something I would not do with my camera. The problem is the a6700's second base ISO is just 2500, which is on the lower end compared to other cameras that offer a second base ISO at 4000, 6400, or even as high as 12800. I've complained about this in other videos, and this trip was another reminder of that limitation. Still, in the end, the footage came out fine, even without noise reduction in post. For photo mode, long exposures on a tripod did most of the heavy lifting. Keeping ISO as close to 100 as possible made a massive difference in noise straight out of the camera, which I'll discuss more towards the end of the video. I shot my photos and videos at the wide end of the 17-40 between 17 and 20 millimeters. For video specifically, I had to zoom out all the way to 17mm to get the full ocular lens of the PVS-14 in view, since the a6700 doesn't support open gate recording, although I did experiment with some zoomed-in compositions. In theory, zooming in also gets you into the most resolving part of the night vision tube itself. One thing that tripped me up in the field was that the preview image on my camera screen looked overexposed at correct exposure, so I compensated by anywhere from -1.7 to -2.3 to get a balanced looking image straight out of camera. When I got home and looked at the actual RAW files though, they were actually underexposed and needed 1 to 3 stops of positive exposure correction in post. I generally shoot around -1.7 EV in my everyday shooting to protect highlights, so the pattern didn't register as unusual to me in the moment. In hindsight, however, the JPEG preview was misleading me about how exposed the RAW file actually was, and my typical underexposure setting wasn't really applicable to this unique shooting scenario. Thankfully, the final images were still usable after bumping the exposure in Lightroom. To get any usable light through the tube in a genuinely dark environment like this, I had to run the PVS-14's gain maxed out, and I couldn't use the iris attachment that essentially stops down the PVS-14 to get a deeper depth of field. That combination meant that I also had to manually focus using the PVS-14's own focus ring on the objective lens, separate from anything I was doing with the camera or the Sigma 17-40 to actually get things sharp. Despite all of that, the autofocus on the A6700 handled shooting through an image intensifier tube surprisingly well, at least for the environmental non-astro shots. One interesting realization I had from this trip is that I think the real advantage of night vision over a plain long exposure, other than the vibes, might actually be for video specifically. As long as your camera has a usable second base ISO, you can keep your shutter angle locked to double your frame rate and still get a workable image without needing the long exposure times that photo mode benefits from. I also found that the A6700, 17-40, and PVS-14 combined are light enough to comfortably handhold for video, which was a pleasant surprise. Looking back at the results once I was home, image quality tracked closely with ISO. Photos shot at 100 ISO through the PVS-14 with a long exposure looked dramatically better than anything shot at 800 ISO or higher. Anything at 6400 ISO and above was really rough, and DxO Pure Raw didn't meaningfully help, since a lot of that noise pattern appears to be baked in by the night vision tube itself, rather than something that conventional raw denoising is designed to clean up. With that said, most of my shots ended up usable, mostly because I switched over to shooting at 100 ISO fairly early in the night. One editing tip that I have for you all is that I find these images to be more visually appealing in black and white as opposed to green. There's a quality to them that reminds me of charcoal paintings. None of these shots are perfectly sharp, but night vision itself isn't a razor-sharp medium to begin with, and getting focus dialed in means working through 3 separate diopters between the PVS-14 and the camera, rather than just one. I also found that the video I shot held up noticeably better than stills at higher ISOs, even straight out of the camera without denoising in post. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I also brought the Oppo Find X9 Ultra along to shoot long exposure sky shots, separate from the PVS-14 setup entirely. I really liked the photos I got out of it, and I think it held up well compared to the A6700 and Viltrox 27mm f1.2 standard astro shots, all things considered. If you zoom all the way into the dark sky background, you can see some noise reduction artifacts, which is basically my only nitpick. It's worth noting that I was shooting in the phone's RAW max mode, which I believe applies more aggressive denoising and computation than a standard RAW capture on this phone. Outside of that, it was a strong showing for a phone going up against a dedicated APS-C camera and a fast prime, at least where photography was concerned. The weak point was handheld video stability while walking up the trail. Even with enhanced stabilization turned on, reviewing the footage afterward showed a ton of shutter-on footfalls, which basically made all of my walking footage unusable. I feel like I must have been doing something wrong because we weren't moving that fast. Honestly, the video results both in terms of stability and overall clarity were much worse than anything else that I've captured up until now. I think some of this comes down to the amount of baked-in noise reduction in the footage. Oppo really needs to give us the option to turn off noise reduction in the Pro Video mode. Both stability and overall video quality are things I will need to continue to test further as we move towards my eventual long-term review of the Find X9 Ultra. I realize that I bought the Find X9 Ultra primarily for photography, but results like these make me feel like I might have made the wrong decision choosing it over the Vivo X300 Ultra. I'm also finding that dynamic range in O-Log 2 isn't great in the highlights, as I had to crank my ND filter all the way up just to preserve the sky, even shooting at the base ISO of 400. In terms of other gear that could have performed better, the 3D printed adapter held up functionally, but it's not as rigid as it needs to be. It made an audible snapping sound every time I set the tripod down, which is not a sound you want to hear from anything holding anything as expensive as your camera, lens, and a night vision monocular all at once. I think I will ultimately have to buy a second Cold Harbor supply adapter specifically for the 17-40, which I hope will be worth the investment over the long run given this proof of concept with the 3D printed version. If Cold Harbor Supply sees this video, please hit me up. My Mofage Talos magic arm also let me down. While it worked fine for the car mount shots, when I tried attaching it to the cart we used to haul our tent and gear from the parking lot to the campsite, the vibration from the combination of gravel, rock, and uneven terrain was more than it could handle, and it kept rotating up or down even after I locked it down, which is extremely disappointing for such an expensive magic arm. Editor Bedrock here. I just wanted to say one final thing about the equipment that didn't work on the trip. The ball head on my tripod did not have enough vertical travel to actually be able to point my camera straight up at the sky, so what I ended up having to do was reduce the length of the legs of the tripod on one side to allow me to get more of an upward firing angle on the tripod, which required some delicate balancing to actually keep the whole tripod from toppling over. Alright, back to the video. I want to be clear that a dark sky park like Sky Meadows is as close to a worst case scenario for this kind of shooting as you can get. There was very little ambient light available for the PVS-14's image intensification tube to work with, which is exactly the condition that pushes noise the hardest. If you're doing night vision photography somewhere with more ambient light, an urban or suburban environment, for example, you're going to have a much easier time getting clean images. To illustrate this, here are a few examples from my own backyard using the Sigma 17-40, the A6700, and the 82mm Cold Harbor Supply adapter, which should give you an idea of what kind of image quality you can expect in normal shooting conditions. To wrap this up, there are a few best practices you can apply to your own night vision content creation. Specifically, keeping ISO as close to 100 as possible whenever a long exposure is viable if you're taking stills, and treating video, not photography, as the format where night vision's advantages over a plain long exposure really show up. If you're chasing this kind of shot yourself, doing it somewhere with more ambient light than a dark sky park is going to make your life considerably easier. But if you specifically want the challenge, or if you're drawn to genuinely dark places like I am, it's a worthwhile challenge even with the extra noise you'll be fighting. Thanks for watching until the end of the video. I appreciate it more than you know. Until next time, this is Bedrock Reviews, signing off.